You go back in time but can meet only one person for a few minutes. Who would be that person? While in the 7th grade, my class was on a field trip at the local museum. It was lunchtime and we were outside in the park that was adjacent to the museum eating lunch. A group of 25-30-year-olds were playing frisbee nearby and the frisbee happened to land a few feet away from me. I was puzzled about what to do, but I picked up the frisbee and did my best to throw it back. The flight pattern was no good and it fell back to the ground within maybe 5 feet. The rest of my class had been paying attention and erupted into laughter at how badly I had thrown the frisbee. And then one of 25-30-year-olds came over, picked up the frisbee, and instructed me how to throw it so that it would travel a further distance. The rest of the class stopped laughing at that point. I occasionally think of that guy coming over and taking time to teach me how to throw that frisbee, as I'm sure that somewhere in his life he had been laughed at too and understood, and I have always appreciated his gesture. I think I'd save that power for when I was really old. Then I'd pick the most special person I'd met in my life, and tell them how much they did for me and how much I owe them. My dad. I'd like to borrow a few more minutes when he was still alive. Hitler. I'm gonna tell him that he's a phenomenal artist and just stick to painting. Myself. Tell myself whatever I need to know to make future me rich and content. My grandparents. I'd thank them and hug them, one last time. Stephen Hawking on the day he had that time travel party. My dad. I'd love to spend even just a few more minutes with my late partner. Honestly. I'd just go talk to my dad again. My mom, she died giving birth to me and I only have a few pics of her and that's it. Heard a few nice things about her when I was young, so yeah, that would be nice to meet her grinning face. Eve, and just tell her if a snake starts talking to her, it's gonna lie and get her kicked out the garden. I'm an atheist but it's worth a shot. I'd like to have met my wife before her first marriage. When she wasn't traumatized and broken. I'd have liked to see what she was like. Not a person, but I would go for Harambe. Shit would be different if he was still alive. Alexander the Great. We have drunken gay sex. Honestly, I don't know how any self-respecting gay man has any other answer. Back in late 2019. Go to a restaurant and whisper to someone idly sitting there. A virus is coming. Deadly virus, worldwide. You're the only one who can save us. Then promptly leave. Jesus. My dad. I lost him when I was 18 and was lost in the world. 10 years later I've conquered everything I didn't know and would just love to see his face and talk to him again. Ask him a bunch of questions. Ex-girlfriend turned into a best friend or something in between both later in life. We weren't exactly always close, but whenever we saw each other it was like we hadn't lost a step. I would tell her to get help if she ever needed it and that I'd be there for her in some way no matter what always. I'd share the halfway down poem to try to convince her not to end up doing that. There's this guy I briefly had a situation with, that got real messy, real quick. He regularly contacted me since then, but I was never very nice in return. He's dead now, cancer. I only learned so after his passing, and pretty much the last thing he ever told me, was how happy it made him to know me. For the life of me, I can't imagine why though. I'd like a minute to tell him I forgave his antics ages ago, and was only this rude to him, to avoid him getting close enough to me to hurt me again, as I cared enough for him to allow his words and choices to. Or just to say goodbye for now. It's not like I love him in the sense I'd have liked us to be together, but there are more ways to care, even about a former casual fling. My mom. If I could just go back, and not say the things that I said to her that day when I was an angry 15-year-old. I wish I knew that was going to be the last time I was going to speak to her. Love you, Mom. Hope you know that. Pleading face. Man, I'm 33 now and I think about it every day. Adolf Hitler, not cause I want to talk to him or anything, I just want to beat the shit out him with a baseball bat victory hand. Jesus. Would ask him what he is the purpose of all of this. My grandfather. I just want to shake his hand one more time and listen to his laugh. Grandma. Tell Obama not to make that joke about Donald Trump at that presidential dinner. It's one of the biggest things that motivated that turd to run for president. My bio dad. I was given up for adoption when I was 2 days old. My bio mom found me when I was 17, but my dad had passed away 4 years earlier. He knew he had a daughter, and I looked just like him. He led quite an interesting life, a Rolling Stone type, with many different careers. He spoke French fluently and apparently was quite a character. I'd love to have lunch with him. My dad. Grab a beer and chat a bit. He's fun to talk to. I'm gonna call him and set that up right now. My daughter. The entirety of those few minutes would be a hug. My dad. You're M Omicron M. Probably my grandpa, the amount of weird stories he did. Apparently he was part of a civil war in Mexico that was never released to the public when he was working in the United States. He applied to be Santa in the mall. They were supposed to pay him $50 for the day, but instead they gave him $25, so he stole the Santa costume. He got shot 5 times in the body, and none of them hit anything important. One night he got super drunk and went on a Greyhound and went to the wrong state because similar names to the location. Hey Dad. Are you proud of me? My grandma. I lost her some years ago, even though she lost her memories and personality many years before that. I'd make sure to let her know I love her and I'd take care of her until her last day. And during those minutes remind her how much I love her and hope she wouldn't forget it eventually. Call me a nerd, but I need to ask J.R.R. Tolkien where the Entwives are and what happened to them. Where are they? I choose that man's wife. Myself, just to warn against some poor decision making. My brother 20 years ago, he's still alive and well, I'd just give him stock pics. My grandfather. I miss him so bad. My dad as a kid, there's so much he doesn't talk about that probably hurt him, so I'd like to know about it and help him in some way.